It is a new year, 2026. We are well into, a time when there should be flying cars around, but we have smartphones that have artificial intelligence, so that's pretty good. So Happy New Year 2026. It is a Monday. It's January 5th. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It's not just a new year. I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 back in December, so I'm kind of reeling with that. We'll talk a little bit about that on today's podcast. I've shot some bass tournaments. Surprise, surprise. I know that's going to be a big surprise to you. We're going to talk braid. Okay, this is a big question mark that I've had in my mind. There are, you go to the tackle shop, there are so many different kinds of braid offerings available. And I found this great write-up that really helps to explain it and make it a lot easier to figure out what kind of braid you need. I find it useful. I found it useful. I think you'll find it useful. What else is going on here? Hey, look at this. This Berkley Ripfish. This is the Ripfish 7, okay? I am such a huge fan of Berkley hard baits. Dan Spengler, he is the hard bait designer at Berkley. He is doing such a fantastic job with their hard baits, and this Ripfish is his creation. We're going to be talking about it and all the uses for it. What else is going on? Eurotackle. Maybe you've heard of Eurotackle. If you haven't, you have to check them out. They make a bunch of open water lures, but they got some ice fishing lures that I want to talk about that look really, really intriguing. And and maybe this is the biggest news of all for me. We can now use hook setting devices in Minnesota. Yes, automatic hook setting devices for set lines. Finally, we're going to get into that and so much more. Let's do this. Podcast 64.
This isn't another fishing podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
All right, well, Happy New Year, everyone. It is really wild to think it is 2026. I can't even really fully put my mind around it. 2026, I remember when 2020 rolled around. I was telling my wife recently, I told her in 2019, December of 2019, I said 2020 is going to be bonkers. And it wasn't just bonkers, it was a terrible year in many ways. I'm not going to get into it, but obviously COVID, it was a terrible, terrible year. This decade has just been bonkers, really. It hasn't let off the gas. And now Trump, and he's not releasing the Epstein files. I mean, that's why a lot of people voted for Trump, and he's not releasing the Epstein files, but we're invading Venezuela. It is crazy. And so what I'm going to do is just focus on fishing, because the reality is I am a current events nut, right? I love news. Not like the news you turn, when you turn on the TV. That's not news. That's propaganda to me. I'm talking about just, I get on the socials and I have my own people that I trust and that I follow on the socials for my news. And it's so wild right now that I thank God that I have fishing as a break from all of that, because I look at my socials feeds and it just it's like doom scrolling. I'm a really good doom scroller. So I need to get away from that, and it really sidelines me. It gets, I get so wound up about stuff that I'm not as productive, maybe doing podcasts like this as I should be. So this year, my New Year's resolution is just to, especially turning 50, right? I've said this multiple times, but I really feel very, very immature. And my wife and I we don't have kids, we have animals, right? So you kind of, I think it's easier to be immature when you don't have children. And so we don't really feel like we're growing up, right? But it's I'm 50 years old. I look in the mirror and I got crepe neck. You ever heard of crepe neck? It's just it's crepey. Women know more about these terms like crepe, okay? But it's my neck now is looking like an old man's neck. I mean, I feel like I'm holding it together pretty well. I got pretty good genetics. Thank you, my mom and dad. But yeah, I'm like, okay, dude, I'm 50, and so I'm trying to, it's kind of hit, that yeah, it's time to, like, especially with this podcast and with Angling Uploaded, everything going on. It's like, let's do something here, dude. Let's make this something. And so I've got enough experience just fiddle farting around with this thing now that I'm like, yeah, dude, you're not getting any younger, so why don't you get off the pot here and get to town on doing this podcast right? And so that's the resolution. 2026. It's my 50-year-old resolution. Okay, as a 50-year-old, that I can't be so frivolous with my time. I kind of see the end of, I see the finish line in some respects, and so this is kind of my outlet doing this. Honestly, this is my art, if you will. And I'm recovering from the flu, by the way, too. So I really came into 2026 just raring to go here, man. I'm 50 and I have the flu, but I'm nearly done with this thing. So that's the positive here. I'm nearly done with the flu. I think this is the 8th day of the flu, and I'm nearly done with it. So I might have to mute this microphone a few times. I do have some water here, of which I'm going to take a drink right now. But it's just, there's a lot going on, right? So, for instance, I got like a 90-gallon aquarium just right. I'm looking at it right now. It's behind the camera here, sort of behind the camera. I want to do underwater. I know you guys have heard this all before if you've listened to this podcast, okay? I know there's been a lot of starts and stops and starts and stops. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the year where that I'm not gonna, if it doesn't happen this year, this is just, I'm throwing in the towel. This has to be a consistent thing. This needs to be a money-making thing. I feel very fortunate that I have great videography clients. I really enjoy videography. I've worked with some of my heroes in the industry. Major League Fishing has just been a fantastic client of mine. And I'm really able just to get a lot of work from them. And I'm super grateful for it. And it allows me to do projects like this that can one day make more money and kind of be more supplemental income, if you will. Because there's times where I'm actually in a very slow period right now. So it'd be nice where Angling Uploaded can just fill in those voids, winter in particular, when things get slow for me. And just any time in the year where there's not many tournaments going on, or videography just in general is slow for me. So I know you guys probably heard all this before. I know I'm a broken record, but I'm 50 years old now, man. And it's like, and it's 2026. It's like, it's time to do this, dude. I think originally, like earlier on, for me, the internet was newer, and podcasting was newer when I first jumped into this. And it was like, okay, is this worth investing time in? I like dilly-dallying and experimenting and doing stuff, but could this really be something that could be a moneymaker? As far as, can it bring in, is it worth, all this investment of time and equipment? Is this something that can make money, can bring in supplemental income for me? And now I'm very confident that we're in an age where, yeah, this is really, I would say this is a dominant form of media, and that it's legit. So now it's just up to me, man. It's up to being disciplined and just doing, there is no try. What does Yoda say? There is no try. There is, whatever. I'm not a big movie guy. Well, I am a big movie. I love movies, but I don't remember quotes in movies. So whatever Yoda said, that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, no, I'm excited about this year. What I have to do with myself here is I can't get wrapped up in all of the current events that are happening because, I knew that I had a pretty good, let's put it this way, I had a pretty good inclination that this decade was going to be bonkers, okay? And it's bonkers, all right. I need to not get sidelined and wrapped up in the craziness of the world. And I need to just focus on this and get this to a place where I want it to be. So with your blessing, with your support, we're going to get there. I really appreciate it. So let's get into this podcast. Hardcore here. It is January 2026. And if, I live in Minnesota, and what that means is that things are freaking cold, man. It is freaking cold out. And lucky for me, what I have around me is I have some warm water discharges, baby, that keep certain areas of the Mississippi River wide open. So it affords me the ability to go smallmouth bass fishing not far from me, and then also walleye fishing a little bit more distance from me, but both options are available to me in the winter, which I feel very fortunate about. So I also have some great ice fishing around me. I am way better of an open water fisherman than an ice fisherman, but there are some great opportunities ice fishing near me that I'm super excited to take advantage of. So that's what's going to be happening in this year for me as far as fishing. In 2026 in January, I'm going to be doing, this week in particular looks really nice. I think I'm going to go down to Red Wing, Minnesota and do some walleye fishing at the end of this week. We got a real nice warm-up happening this week. And probably we'll try to do some smallmouth fishing on the Mississippi River as well. But we'll talk about that more towards the end of the podcast. Want to talk about, I'm 50 now, okay? So my wife is the most wonderful woman. I don't deserve her. But she threw me, and look at how beautiful she is. I'm throwing. If you're just listening to the another fishing podcast, if you're just listening to the podcast, I'm bringing up a picture of my wife and I, my beautiful wife. I like to outpunt my coverage, and that's kind of been like, I'll just put it this way. I've outpunted my coverage with my wife. I know everybody knows that. They see me, they see my wife, they go, damn, that guy really outpunted his coverage. I said, well, yes, that I agree. So that's my wife and I during my 50th birthday party that my wife threw, and she did a fantastic job. I want to thank her for doing that. It was great. I had one of my, best buds, Pete Wagner, another fishing podcast co-host. He'll pop on this thing once in a while. He's the Another Fishing Show. If you ever remember back in the day, Another Fishing Show episodes, he was the co-host of that as well. He showed up, made the long drive from Rochester, and a number of just good friends of mine and neighbors, and just had a great time. So that was a highlight, a recent highlight. Turning 50, man, turning half a century old. And it's really pretty mind-boggling to kind of wrap my head around it, honestly. I don't, like I said, I don't feel like maturity-wise, I don't feel 50, but, and honestly, I feel pretty good body-wise, My hips are a little more sore, I've noticed, but other than that, and then I got glasses now. I'm wearing glasses, these progressive glasses all the time now. So that's a newer thing. But other than that, I still feel pretty good. I'm very thankful for that. And so onward and upward we go. Yeah, I've also had the flu. So again, I might have to mute this mic. I'll be drinking some more water, but I'm nearly at the end of it. I haven't been sick for so long. It's probably been 3 years since I've had something like this. Maybe even longer. I don't typically get sick. And what I think is going on there, why I don't get sick that much, is because I'm outside so much and I'm getting a lot of sunlight, probably more than the average American. And I'm also, so I'm not using sunscreen. Now I'm not saying for you not to use sunscreen, okay? I'm not using sunscreen. This is not, you need to, you are the captain of your own ship. As the captain of my ship, I think it's probably worse to actually apply sunscreen to your skin than actually just get sun on your skin. I think there's a lot of benefits to getting sun upon your skin. I think it's very natural. It's how you make vitamin D. It's how it's a good way to not, vitamin D production through the sun, getting sun exposure is a great way to not get sick. So I haven't worn any sunscreen last year. I didn't wear any, and I'm out in the sun a lot. And people go, oh, that's terrible for your skin. Oh, you're going to get, that has, honestly, I think genetics is more of a factor of whether you're going to have good skin or not. I find it kind of remarkable that all of a sudden, in the last 100 years, when did sunscreen develop, I wonder? When did it first come out? Like maybe 75 years ago, 100 years, I don't know what it is. Maybe 100 years ago, that's when sunscreen came out. Like, you're telling me all the time before then, humans were able to survive without sunscreen. I think sunscreen is overhyped, and I think there's some studies to say it's actually show is what I'm trying to say, to show that it's actually potentially bad for you. When your skin is porous, right? That's like when you go swimming, you're just like, your skin is like a sponge, that's why it gets all spongy if you've been swimming for too long. Because your skin is absorbing that water, right? So same thing with sunscreen. So it's like your body is absorbing that sunscreen with all those chemicals in it. I'm thinking I'm not going to wear sunscreen anymore, I think. And if I do wear sunscreen, it's going to be the mineral-based sunscreen. But anyway, my point in all this is that I think that just the fact that I'm out in the sun a lot, making a lot of vitamin D, I think that's what's helped me to stay from getting, sick. So anyway, but I've been really bad. Like, so this is my 8th day of being sick. I'm nearly done with it, but I'm not good at being sick. My wife is out like running errands when she's sick. She's like actually running, my wife is a fit person, unlike me. And so she's just doing all this stuff when she's sick. And I'm like, you're remarkable. And when I get sick, I just want to lay around. I don't want to do anything. So thankfully, I'm feeling good right now. And I am able to do this podcast. And so we're on the upswing, feeling good. What has been going on since I did the last podcast 63? Well, I was filming the MLF Toyota Series Championship on Grand Lake, and I worked with Roger Fitzpatrick and Tucker Smith on that shoot. Roger Fitzpatrick won, and what's interesting about it is I was filming that tournament, and I used to live in Springfield, Missouri. My first gig out of college was with Bass Pro Shops Video Productions. Okay, down in Springfield, Missouri. So I lived in Missouri for 6 years. And when I was down there, I did a show called Heartland on the Trail. It was a regional bass fishing tournament circuit. And the company that I had started with a buddy of mine, it was a total disaster. I won't get into it. But anyway, we did this. And we produced a show called Heartland on the Trail. And we were very proud of that show. I'm still very proud of that show. We actually had no money to do it, but I think for what it was, we put together a great little bass fishing tournament show. And so it's a regional tournament circuit down there, and there's some real hammers. I'm not sure whether this tournament circuit's still going on, but I worked, so I was, I produced the show, edited it and did some of the videography for it. So I was very like just into this. I mean, I was like in deep into this thing and got to know quite a few of the anglers, some of these regional sticks, man. And I jump in the boat for this Toyota Series Championship, and I'm like, I have worked with this guy before. I worked with this guy when he was fishing the Heartland Pro-Am Trail. And so it was, you know, and I'd edited videos with, you know, edited shows where he was like fishing. And it was just kind of surreal. It's like, and then I got to thinking about how long ago that was. And that would have been like 2004, 2005 time period. And so, yeah, it would have been around that time period. So that's a long time ago. I mean, I'm not good at math, but that's like 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and so I'm hopping in the boat with them, and we're all older now, you know, and Roger, but I'm like, it all starts coming back to me that I had worked with Roger before and edited him before for this Heartland on the Trail TV show that we did for the Heartland Pro-Am tournament circuit. So that was cool to work with him again, and then also just the fact that he won. So very happy for him. Let's see what else is going on here as far as like just personal history before we get into the world, what's happening in the world of fishing. I then, after that, not long after that, I shot the MLF Team Series Championship in Louisiana and was lucky enough to film Justin Lucas and Brent Ayler win the event. And I got to tell you, these guys right here, by the way, this is like if you're watching the podcast on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, this is like the biggest, this is a house. This is like a dock house. It was giant. It's probably the biggest like home house on a dock house. Is that what we call these? That I've ever seen. It was just gigantic. This picture actually doesn't really do it justice, but there you see on the right, there is Justin Lucas and Brent Ayler. I've worked with these guys a lot through the years. Great anglers. They are both from California. And what I noticed about just how they're fishing, and I think it was the reason why they were successful, is they just worked very well together because they had similar fishing styles, very similar fishing styles. They're very versatile. They can do just basically anything. I'd say they excel in power fishing techniques. But it was cool to see these guys put it together and just see how well they worked together. A lot of these guys on a team series, they kind of butt heads, I've noticed, and that really is a disadvantage to them. They don't have a similar style, so one angler will want to do this over here, and the other angler wants to do this over here, and they're just constantly butting heads, and they're not working together as a real team. And Brent Ayler and Justin Lucas, that was not the case. They just were jiving well together, and they just were respectful of one another. They weren't they just, because they're very good, they're very versatile anglers, but they have their strengths. They have similar strengths, and so they were keen on just following those strengths, and it luckily worked out for the bodies of water that they were fishing. So that was really cool to be a part of that, to be there for the win and to document that, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that is what was going on as far as kind of personal stuff since the last podcast. And so shall we get into the world of fishing? What is happening? I've been scouring the interweb to find out stuff that you guys should be aware of if you're not. And maybe you already are, but these are things that I thought were interesting. And I want to make sure that I have everything. I have completed everything here. Yes, we have. We're moving onward and upward. All right, so here's some cool stuff here. So first of all, I got to get a water. Okay, this is going to be kind of a common thing today. Okay, so I apologize. Here we go. But my throat, there's been a war going on. Actually, not in my throat. I haven't had the sore throat at all with this flu. The flu has been basically in the bronchi. Okay, this is where this sucker's been, in the bronchi right here, right here. And so my wife is a nurse, right? She calls it sputum. I also call it phlegm. There's been a lot of that being conjured up here in the bronchi. And so now it's starting to dissipate. And so I'm super excited about that. But this is what's been sore. Not my throat. I've had a little bit of sneezing, but most of it has been right here. The war has been waged right here in my bronchi. Okay? And so it's good news is I'm not as sore there anymore. Not as much sputum coming up. And so we're at the tail end of this. So I don't know why I went off on a tangent again about the flu. I apologize. So anyway, so feeling good. Let's get into it. Braid. Okay, I do not use a lot of braid, and I need to. There's a lot of very important applications where you need to use braid. Braid is amazing sensitivity, zero stretch, it's got a lot of benefits, right? But there's a lot to it. It's a bit confusing when you go into a tackle shop and you're trying to figure out what in the hell am I going to, like, what? I mean, it's like, it's nuts, all the options. Every manufacturer has about like 6 options, it feels like, at least. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's just a lot of options, and it's very confusing. So there was a great write-up in Jay Kumar's Bass Blaster. I want to encourage everybody to sign up to that newsletter. I get so much information from Jay. Does a great job putting out a couple of newsletters, email newsletters, every week, maybe 2 or 3 actually. Okay, so here we get into it now. So this is from Bass Blaster. So this is going to help. This helps me tremendously on what I need to buy for braid, and I'm going to be buying braid soon. So hopefully you'll find this informative, because I did, and it answers a lot of questions. So, but this is focusing on Berkley's braids, just so you know. But it still is going to help you, I think, with just any manufacturer braids. Let me get some water here. 1 second. All right, everybody, here we go. Berkley has 2 kinds of braids. Berkley has conventional braids, which are literal braids like braiding hair, and thermally fused braids. Fireline and Forward are their thermally fused braids. Fireline is a braid that is sort of merged through their thermal fusion process. And Forward is not a braid. It is basically a twisted fiber bundle that is then fused. Very interesting. That Forward line is the one that Berkley's kind of marketing to forward-facing sonar guys. Fused braids, which Berkley calls super lines, are smoother, more abrasion resistant, and take on in way less water. More water equals reduced casting distance and maybe some sticking wrapping around guides. This less drag means they also sink better, particularly over the course of a fishing day. Fused braids also can be or feel a little stiffer until they're broken in. All right. More about braid in general. Color. Braid comes in white or off-white. Then you put on a color and coat it to keep it on there. The color doesn't get in the fiber itself. So as you wear braid, you can see the color coming off, which is the color and the coating being removed from the braided product itself. Carriers. Okay, so you'll see, like, they'll talk about carriers in the packaging of the braid. The term carrier means a bundle or clump of fibers. So a 5 carrier braid like Berkley X5 looks like this. And here's a picture of, this is a kind of a cross section of braid. And you'll see 5 like, looks like, almost like fiber optic cables, honestly, running through it. And that means that's 5 carrier. So for Berkley, anyhow, for any given pound rating, 9 carrier braid is the same diameter as 5 carrier, which means that the bundles or carriers of fibers are different sizes. That's a little bit confusing, but I think we'll clear that up as we go here. But that is interesting. So like a 5 carrier means there's 5 of these. Let me make sure here. Yeah, it means a bundle or clump of fibers. So so basically a bundle, so there's like 5 in Berkley X5, there's 5 bundles within that line itself, and then they're X9. I think they have an X9 if I'm not mistaken. That means there's 9 clumps in there. Which I think it goes into why that matters here. Anyway, I think we'll get into that here shortly. But anyway, the best braid knot we test with the Palomar. So basically, Jay Kumar in this write-up is talking with a person from Berkley about their braids and, you know, their braided fishing lines. And so he's basically having a conversation with the guy at Berkley about braids and so, you know, braided fishing lines. So he asks, like, what's the best braid knot? And the guy at Berkley says, we test with the Palomar in the lab, typically for braid. Palomar is the way to go. Is there a better knot for braid? Probably, but that's the knot we use in the lab and people know. Also likes the trilene knot for braids. Anything 8 carrier or more or fused should be wrapped more, 25% more wraps as a general guideline, or at least 3 to 5 times more wraps. Lick and wrap it. Interesting. And braid to fluoro knots. So this is where I get very nervous because I really don't know a whole lot of knots, if I'm being quite honest. This is kind of embarrassing. I'm a Palomar knot guy and an improved clinch knot guy at times. When it comes to, you know, when you're going to be basically merging, is this what the term we're going to use? Merging a braided line to like a fluorocarbon leader. That's where I get very nervous. I'll often just, I'll just use fluorocarbon straight. And I find like, I love Berkley 100% fluorocarbon. And it's been really, I find it pretty manageable. I don't have a whole lot of issues with it on a spinning reel. But you gotta you gotta know how to use it, right? You know, make sure that every time you make a cast, it's going onto that line roller. You're not engaging the bail with the reel. You're actually engaging the bail with your hand, and you're making sure that that fluorocarbon is going into the line roller and you're off. Or you're gonna have a tendency to, you know, fluorocarbon is going to, you know, you'll have more problems with that if you don't make sure that you're doing those things. But so I've just kind of, I've stayed away from braid more because I can just get away with just using fluorocarbon straight, you know. And honestly, in some, especially like clear water applications, I can't stand the way I've filmed underwater of this before, and that's probably why I feel this way. Is I've seen what braid looks like, and then even with a long leader in clear water, it just like, to me, it sticks out like a sore thumb, looks very unnatural. So I've just, in those situations, I have no problem just going straight fluorocarbon. Now people will say, oh, but you're not going to have the sensitivity, you know, with the just straight fluorocarbon that you would have with the braid to the fluorocarbon. Yeah, but it's still really sensitive. Fluorocarbon does not have much stretch, and it's really pretty darn sensitive. And, you know, sometimes I think we can get a little carried away with things, and it's good enough for me. Okay? I'm 50 years old. I can do whatever I want. All right, here we go. Braid to floor knots. Anyway, so here we get into knots here. Berkley recommends 3 knots for braid. The FG, the strongest braid to floor knot is an FG knot. It's the hardest to tie, the strongest, and also the lowest profile. It digs into your fluoro pretty well. It's also a knot that I'm very nervous to even attempt to learn how to tie. The Crazy Alberto, middle profile, not as hard to tie as the FG. The profile is a little smaller than the uni to uni, and it's in the middle in strength too. Then there is the uni to uni, the easiest knot to tie, but it's your weakest and your biggest profile. A little bit larger knot as you go through the guide. So that is talking about knots for braids. All right, so then we get into, okay, the thermally fused braid. So that's going to be like the forward and fireline brand lines that Berkley offers. So it comes down to slickness. You have to take more care because it's more slick. Some non-Berkley braids are slick too. The reason you have a Teflon coated pan is so the egg doesn't stick. There are things we add that make them smoother. That's great. Goes through guide smooth, it makes no noise, casts farther. The problem is that you might pull a knot out if you don't wrap it more. Anglers love slick braid, but they might not always like, let me start that over. Anglers love slick braid, but they might not always take the care in knot tying that they should. So that's in regards to their new forward thermally fused braid and fireline. Does the fluoro matter? I would say, okay, so this is, I should know who this gentleman at Berkley is that Jay Kumar is talking to, but I don't. So we're just going to keep going on here. Does the fluoro matter? I would say yes, it does. There are softer fluoros and harder fluoros. We found out that not all fluoros make great leaders. I think a lot of anglers think they could pick any fluoro and can use it as a leader. If they're using an FG knot specifically, they need to really look at the knot. You need to take care for it and lick it well because fluoro does not like friction. Take the time to tie the knot and put enough pressure and force on it to ensure it will hold. I'm not sure which fluoros may or may not be more grabbable by braid. Some are more sensitive to certain knots than others. Okay, so this is, boy, my voice is starting to kind of, I'm starting to get a little tired in my voice here due to my flu problem here. We're going to make it through, guys. It'll be fine. All right, here we go. A Berkley braided line guide. So this is all of Berkley's braided lines. And the first one, right out the gate, Berkley Big Game Braid. This is kind of a, I would say, kind of a utility braid. It is a type, the type is 4 carrier, so that means it's got 4, now we know, it's got 4 bunches of other, like, carriers in there, 4 groups of braid within the larger braid itself, if you will. So that's a 4 carrier braid. What's it for? Vegetation, because fewer carriers equal more abrasion resistance. Fewer carriers equals more abrasion. Interesting. Cuts through veggies better. Also a general purpose braid for less serious anglers. 4 carrier braid doesn't cast as well as braids with a higher number of carriers because the carriers on the outside of the line are bigger. Spiderwire Dura braid, which Berkley makes, also is a 4 carrier braid and is made for close quarters combat, which is why Bobby Lane is all about it. All right, then we have, and this is what I have. I believe I have the X5 Berkley. So, okay, so this Berkley X5 and Berkley X9, there's no doubt you go to a tackle shop, you go in the line section, and you'll see this line. This is 4 carrier plus 1 in the middle, and 8 carrier plus 1 in the middle. So So the X5 is 4 carrier plus 1 in the middle, and the X9 is 8 carrier plus 1 in the middle. So which one do you choose for what? Okay. Back to the Berkley guy. We added in a core for manageability. Braids typically are not round, and the higher the carrier count, the flatter it becomes. For the average angler, that means you get a lot of dig-ins. We want to make sure they are more round than other braids, so it improves your manageability. It'll stack better on your reel. It won't flatten out as much as what they're trying to say here. What's it for? Either can be used as an all-purpose braid, but, and this is where I really find this article to be helpful, is just this right here, okay? Because X5 and X9, you see it, it's like what, I would say it's like the main kind of braid that Berkley's offering right now, and I for the longest time, like, I didn't understand why I should be using one or the other, or why I should be using a period, the X5 or the X9. So here we go. Either can be used as an all-purpose braid, but X5 is designed for maximum strength and abrasion resistance. It's a vegetation braid, but you can drop shot all the way up to pitching and frogs. Maximum strength. Okay, so it's almost like they're, as far as monofilament, it's almost like what their Trilene XL sort of. No, they're XT rather. It's almost like their XT, Trilene XT kind of line. Okay, so X9 is more for casting. Smoother, throwing a crankbait. Do people throw top water with it? Yes, it's fantastic for open water. So that X9 is like almost like their Trilene XL. If we're equating it to their monofilament. Some throw it in heavy vegetation, but the one with the most abrasion resistance is X5. And every condition is different. You might say you're fishing in lily pads. Well, is it sparse lily pads? Is it shallow water? Is there vegetation underneath? Fishing can be very complicated, can it? We got to be careful of that. These manufacturers want us to make fishing complicated. They want things to be complicated a lot of times because then we think we need to buy all their products. So you got to be very careful of that. Remember, we do this because it's fun and enjoyable. All right. So moving on here. Okay, so here's some more stuff. Some pros like the 8 carrier version, X9, because it's smoother and has less sound. They think that might be an issue. Justin Lucas, hey, we were just talking about Justin, likes X5 because when he's tying a knot, he says it feels more secure because it has that zipper effect, rougher feel from fewer carriers. Interesting. As you get to smoother braids, you have to be very careful when tying knots. Yikes. All right, now we're moving on to the Berkley Fireline. All right. And it is a thermally fused 8 carrier line. What's it for? Predominantly spinning reel techniques. It has a little more body, sort of stiffness. That's why Berkley does not make it in higher pound ratings. Fireline is a conventional 8 carrier braid. Then we thermally fuse it. It is 5 times tougher, meaning abrasion resistant. Excuse me, let me get a sip of water here. Then, for all of the forward-facing sonar people out there, Berkley's got the forward line. It is a thermally fused finesse braid is what they're calling it. And it is thermally fused. Okay, so thermally, what is it? It's a thermally fused twisted single strand, sort of best way that this guy at Berkley can explain it. It's thermally fused twisted single strand. What's it for? Forward-facing sonar techniques with spin reels or anytime you need long casts all day long and want the bait to get to the fish as fast as possible. After a day of use, forward braid will cast 30% farther than a conventional braid. Our pros say it is the easiest, smoothest, and farthest casted braid they have. With the advent of forward-facing sonar, forward makes total sense when you're throwing something small and casting it far. Forward outperforms everything. Now, I know this sounds a little bit like a commercial, but this is, they are talking, Jay Kumar at Bass Blaster is talking to the guy at Berkley. So it is going to, we're biased here. Forward is the Maserati finesse braid. We wanted to be able to optimize throwing a small jig head all day, every day. Fireline is more of an all-purpose product. So it's the difference between forward and Fireline there. And we're wrapping up here. So just a few more things we need to consider. Okay, on braid. Wind knots. If you overspool your spinning reel and you're not paying attention to the tension, the next cast you throw out will be a loop. So if you overspool your spinning reel and you're not paying attention to the tension, the next, okay, so that's to be, you should be aware of. When you get into very limp braids, more of a propensity to twist them stony. Okay, if the angler's not careful. When some of these braids get wet, you basically have a wet noodle. Rods, you need to adjust your equipment for braids. If you're fishing medium heavy, go to medium or medium light. So you're basically not using as heavy rods for braid. And lastly, can't spool or fish the same. For those of us who grew up with straight mono or even fluoro on spin reels, we can't spool or fish braid the same way. It's totally different animal. So just a few things there to consider when using braid. Just even if you're diving into the world of braid, that should give you a good start on. I'm a Berkley guy. As far as lines go, I've been a Berkley trilene guy forever. And so I just, there's so many offerings out there of lines. I just am basically, I've gotten to a point where I'm just, there's brands that I trust. And Berkley's one of those brands. So I just stick with Berkley lines. So I felt that article was just, for me in particular, just because I like Berkley stuff. It just spoke to me because it just simplified things. And as far as like, okay, what, when I go and get braid, what do I need to get? What kind of braid is going to be right for the application that I need it for? So hopefully you got something out of that. Next, I wanted to talk about this bait right here. Okay. This is the Berkley Ripfish, and this is a creation of the man, let's get this in focus here, okay, named Dan Spengler. Had him on the podcast before. Check it out. You should go back, not that long ago, back in the history of the podcast here, Another Fishing Podcast. I think I called it something like, anyway, you'll see it. Dan Spengler, look for that podcast. Something about the greatest bait designer ever. But anyway, so the Berkley Ripfish, you can see I bought some. These straight, still in the packaging. I can't wait to use these. I think they're going to be great for smallmouth bass. Let me not put a shadow on my face here so severely. I think this bait's going to be fantastic for smallmouth bass near me. Mississippi River smallmouth bass, warm water discharge smallmouth bass. I think it's going to be, great in the winter. I think there's going to be some applications for it. I think it's going to be a great open water, like summer bait. I think this is going to be a great bait for walleyes, pool 4 walleyes, pool 2 walleyes, Mississippi River. And we'll go into why here shortly, but I'm just so excited about this bait. What Berkley's done, their soft baits are phenomenal. They offer so many different varieties of soft baits, and now they're doing it. Like, they really kind of made their name for themselves with power bait. I love power bait. But they have just knocked it out of the park with their hard baits, and I think Dan and his team really are the reason for that. Dan is a very, very talented bait designer. He's a fish nerd, And you need nerds, man. We need nerds, right? Nerds are very important in making things really cool. And what Berkley's making as far as these hard baits, like baits that have never been made, like this is a new kind of bait is what I'm trying to say. And Dan came up with this bait. And so I think it's got a lot of applications. We'll get into it. But look at that. Like that's a yellow perch color, which I think looks really good. I need to get another camera right over here, like a close-up camera. I'm going to do that. That's going to be in the next podcast, just to show close-up. But anyway, so really just great colors. This is perch. This is prime time. This like kind of lavender, a lavender color. Some people might say that's purple. I don't know. And this is a French pearl. Okay, French pearl. Beautiful looking baits. Beautiful, these Fusion, what do they call them? Fusion 19 hooks, treble hooks on there. Incredible attention to detail. You did great, Berkley. So let's talk about the Ripfish, okay? And why I'm so excited about it. And so this is brought to us by, again, Jay Kumar's Bass Blaster email. Is the new Berkley Ripfish a new kind of lipless? Well, let's find out. What is the Ripfish in terms of a bait category? So, I believe Jay is talking to Dan. Yeah, in fact, I know it. So, yeah, so Jay's talking to Dan Spengler for this write-up here. And so Dan says, it's a minnow profile lipless bait that glides out wide. So horizontally, like a northern market glide bait, aka ice jig, or like a Rapala jigging wrap, okay? For years, the market's been flooded with shad-style lipless baits. I thought, well, why isn't there anything in a minnow-shaped profile? There's two main bait fish forage body types you see across the whole nation, minnow shapes and shad shapes. So if you could build a minnow-style lipless bait, it could be pretty unique and interesting. I wanted a finessey vibration, and I also was thinking if I weighted it properly and designed the shape right, I could get it to dart like a finisher and walk the dog. And the finisher is such a great bait. I love that bait so much. Berkley finisher, it's so great. So it's a hybrid between a finisher and a lipless bait using that minnow profile. Brilliant! It does a good job emulating a shiner, a smelt, and a herring, all kind of longer profile bait fish. This profile sets it apart. It's a killer walleye bait because walleyes and minnows go hand in hand. But I love smallmouth fishing. What can I show smallmouth that's different than what's out there? A finessier style lipless bait. Smallmouth were on the main, so it's basically a finessier style lipless bait. Smallmouth were one of the main species I was thinking about with this bait, Dan says. I think it will be a killer spotted bass bait as well. I'm thinking any green bass based on what, okay, so this is Jay Kumar's thinking. He's saying, I'm thinking any green bass based on what he's already said and what he says below. Back to Dan. Lipless baits catch bass. There's no reason not to have a minnow profile one or a herring profile one. It's a good point, especially in northern waters. So how do you fish it? Like a regular lipless? Dan says you cast it out, let it sink down. It has a natural built-in swimming action. It swims down with a real big tail kick, which is really unique. Give your rod subtle wrist flicks. That's the key. Flick your wrist, then give it about a second delay, and then flick it again. Allows the bait to pop out to the side 12 inches to up to 2 feet. Give it a second or two delay to allow the bait to return back to center. And if you flick it, it will pop out again. Allows you to perfectly walk the dog. No other lipless bait on the market that I know of darts like this bait. And we did this by design. It was absolutely the number one goal with this bait, to create a darty, glidey, finessey style lipless bait that is totally unique to the market. God bless Dan Spengler is all I can say. When do you fish it versus when you fish the finisher or a regular lipless like the Jack? The Jack is one of their lipless crankbaits, which I actually just bought a ton of, which I really like the looks of too. So Dan says, anytime you want a skinnier or more finesse profile, or they're targeting bait fish that are more of that longer, skinnier, or herring style profile. When guys transition to blade baits in the fall, I think this bait will be really good for smallmouth in the fall. I've also fished it in early spring to early summer. Early spring to early summer, when the weeds start coming up. I've caught a lot of smallmouth in that time frame. I like to get the bait to crash on the bottom and then rip it up. Smallmouth will actually pile drive it on the bottom. I tried to rip the rod back and the fish is already on there. It's pretty cool. You can reel the bait just straight too. It's not just a yo-yo bait, and you can burn it real quick. So when bass are chasing herring, that's another really good time to throw it. So that's kind of a more traditional way, like almost, like a lipless crankbait, which is cool. Can you rip it through the grass? Jay Kumar asks. Dan says, it does come through vegetation quite well, kind of a razor blade leading edge. That was another key with the bait. How do we make a bait with this profile that can be fished in a lot of situations, especially when you're around vegetation? Another weird thing I figured out about this bait, I started shaking my rod tip like shaking a minnow, and I found that it gave the bait a unique kind of hovering action for walleye. But I do think it'll work for bass fishing, hovering the bait above the fish and it just came up and ate it. You can kind of hover this thing and fish it like a jig head minnow. A lot of versatility you don't get with a traditional lipless bait, but that's yet to be proven for bass. All right, so here's a picture of it. Look at how beautiful that bait is. And Dan says, this bait hasn't been out there that long, but I'm curious to see what guys will come up with. This bait can be fished super slow and hovered. It can be burned and fished real fast, and everything in between. It's got a front position lead head weight to create the built-in action. Then it has lower center of gravity tungsten weights to help with the sink rate of the bait. That's how it swims down and the sound. It has a very unique crispy sounding rattle. Let's listen to it. Hear that? It's a crispy sounding rattle there. Where did I live? Okay. Crispy. Where were we here? Crispy sounding rattle when you pop it. I think the sound is totally unique to any lipless bait I've ever heard. Let's listen to that again. Pretty crispy. Pretty crispy. All right. And J. Kumar asks, is slack part of the equation for working this bait? Dan says, you want to give the bait line slack. I think when I rip the bait up, I like to follow it back down and give it that slack. If you want the bait to walk the dog, rip it, allow slack, and then count 1 to 2 seconds, then rip it again and repeat. That's how you walk this thing. The Ripfish comes in 2 sizes, 7 and 9. Dan likes the 7 for up to 20 feet. So I guess that's 20 feet of water, and the 9 for 10 to 30. So there it is. And yeah, look at this bait. Look at, I can't wait to use these for, I think this week I'm going to use these for Mississippi River smallmouth, and more likely, well, I shouldn't say more likely. It's going to be at least one of these options. It's going to be either smallmouth on the Mississippi River or walleyes on the Mississippi River. If I'm really lucky, I'm going to be able to do both, but these are going to be employed. I am such a fan of the Berkley hard baits that have been coming out. That just, like I said, like Berkley's just killing it, man. And that 7 is a really good size. That 7 is the deal. All right, so that's the Berkley Ripfish. And still, we're talking lures, right? And so when I started the podcast, I was talking to you about the Eurotackle, the company. Let me get a sip of water here. Please bear with me here. Oh, that's good. That is some good H2O, yo. The Eurotackle. So this Eurotackle company, really am a big fan of. I first met the owner, gosh, it was years ago now, I guess, but at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show is when I kind of first became aware of Eurotackle. And just they were specializing in very small, very detailed lures. And the owner of the company is from Europe, hence the name Eurotackle, okay? And so this guy, you could tell, he was an open water fisherman, but he was also a very, I would say, detail-oriented ice fisherman. And so that was a lot of the business, I could see a focus on his business was really making a lot of great ice fishing baits. And so I saw this was in Target Walleye, the man, the myth, the legend, Brett McComas at Target Walleye, friend of the show, worked with him this summer. Great dude. And he does a great job with his Target Walleye. Sign up to the email newsletter if you haven't already. But so I was perusing through the Target email newsletter recently, and so Brett had brought up this kind of new lures that are coming down the pike for ice fishing. And this gamma fly, man, I saw pictures of this thing somewhere else too, but Brett was talking about it here in this Target Walleye email, and the looks of this thing, I mean, I am all about, man. So Eurotackle, just the attention to detail, they've really done a great job with this bait. This is a bait that I think is just going to be a killer on panfish, particularly crappies. Let me go into it here a little bit. The Eurotackle Gamma Fly is an ultra-realistic scud weighted by a 16th ounce tungsten head. The professional tying work paired with a UV epoxy coating on the top of this micro jig offers action, appeal, and durability. Brett says this thing looks filthy. I couldn't agree more. Looks like a freshwater shrimp. Great attention to detail. The hook looks amazing. It's got, like, if you're just watching or if you're just listening to the podcast, so basically you'd imagine just a little jig head, right? And it's like a scud or what am I trying to say? Like if I can hear my dogs upstairs walking around, so they're probably thinking about taking a crap or urinating somewhere. So this is kind of, what happens at my home. So I'm trying to do a podcast down the basement here, and then I hear my animals upstairs doing or about to do things they shouldn't be doing. So bear with me. That's why I kind of lost my train of thought there. But we are getting closer to wrapping up here, so hopefully they can hold it a little while longer. But anyway, to describe this gamma fly, it's imagine like a guy has tied a fly to make it look like a freshwater shrimp. And it's got these kind of like a skirt, like four strands of like silicone out the back of it. And it looks like a great hook on there. On the bottom of the bait is just like, like some kind of a hair that almost, it looks like it would be the legs, if you will, of the shrimp, the freshwater shrimp. And one of the things that I find maybe the most interesting about this bait is that it's got this little circle kind of midway in its body. Looks almost like it's just a little circle. Looks like like a bead. And I'm wondering if that is metal or if it's, what's the point of it? Is it as an attractor? Does it show up on forward-facing sonar better, or just sonar in general? Very unique looking bait here. And here's some more on it. The Ultimate Micro Lure, this is actually from Eurotackle's website. The ultimate micro lure for ice fishing and open water anglers. Meet the Gamma Fly, a precision crafted 1.25 inch, 32nd ounce tungsten scud hairfly jig designed for serious anglers. Whether you're chasing trout, crappie, perch, or bluegill, this micro lure delivers unmatched performance across all conditions, from the frozen depths of ice holes to the flowing currents of rivers and lakes. Premium craftsmanship. Each Gamma Fly is a mini work of art, I would agree, tied with an expert blend of natural hair, rubber fibers, and shimmering accents. Its epoxy UV shell and solid 3D eyes bring freshwater shrimp lifelike realism that triggers aggressive strikes. It's got high-end components. Tungsten head provides fast sink rate and superior sensitivity. Rex, I'm not familiar with that kind of hook, but that's the brand, the kind of hook that they're using for this. Rex 90-degree premium hook, number 12, razor sharp, durable, and built to land trophy fish. And horizontal presentation, perfect for ice fishing or finesse jigging in open water. Just a fantastic looking bait here. Goodness gracious, look at that thing. So really impressed by the Gamma Fly there. But that's not the only thing that I'm really looking forward to using this winter from Eurotackle, and this is the Spade Blade Jointed coming at you. Look at this thing. So they came out with the Spade Blade maybe last winter, but now they've got the Spade Blade Jointed. And again, this is from Target Walleye. Brett says, this 1/8 ounce spoon combines flash, flutter, rattle, and tons of movement. And he puts the wow emoji. There's a lot going on here, but it's one of those baits that it's like, if you want to draw in fish, I have a feeling that this thing's going to draw in fish. It's going to make quite a racket, and it's going to be something that they've just never seen before. So on top of being a flutter spoon, rattle spoon, and bladed spoon, this new Spade Blade version is jointed, which gives it unique movements in the water. While jigging up, the joint generates an undulating raise. Once falling down, a unique twisting flutter action will activate. And Brett says, I really want to see that thing's movement underwater. And I do too. And right over there, I got a 90-gallon tank. Needs to be cleaned. It's a mess right now. But I got big things with that tank. And I want to see how that Spade Blade Jointed looks in the water. And then what we're going to do is we're going to see how it looks in that tank, and then we're going to take it out on the little lake that I live on and see if we can catch some crappies on it. So, okay, now this is a big deal. Okay, this is a really big deal for me in ice fishing, and I have a lake, chain of lakes not far from me, that are full of catfish, and these catfish will bite through the ice, and they've gotten bigger. The catfish have gotten bigger in this chain of lakes, and in Minnesota where I live, you haven't been allowed to use automatic hook setting devices, okay? It has not been allowed in Minnesota. Minnesota is really good at not allowing you to do things, but now they're allowing me to use a hook setting device, okay, and so basically, it can't be motorized in Minnesota, and it's got to be it's got to be either a spring. My understanding, either a spring or the actual rod itself is setting the hook. So this is really big news that now, hallelujah, especially for this lake that's got the catfish in it. I'd love to just set a line, little distance from me, rig it up so the rod's bent. And I can just have that out for me. I can be more actively jigging somewhere else, but I got that set line with the automatic hook setting device ready to go, rigged up with a shrimp or something at a distance away from me, Fish grabs it and then sets the hook. I don't have to worry about the fish getting deep hooked or any of that, which is, I do not want that to happen. So awesome that the state of Minnesota has just finally allowed us to do this. And so let's get into it. Minnesota, automatic hook setting devices allowed now. This is from Target Walleye. Non-motorized devices that set the hook using the force of a spring device or the force of a bent fishing pole are now legal for use in Minnesota. Hallelujah! While ice fishing. The hook setting component of any device must be non-motorized. Motorized jigging devices that are not designed to set the hook are considered motorized jigging devices that are not designed to set the hook are considered legal. Oh, interesting. Okay. The device must not be capable of automatically reeling the fishing line or retrieving fish. These devices are triggered automatically when a set bait is hit by a fish. They are typically used with a tip-up type angling device and may reduce the number of swallowed hooks, reducing hooking mortality. All other fishing regulations still apply while using automatic hook setting devices and automatic jigging devices. Importantly, as is required with all tip-up use, the angler must be within 200 feet of the tip-up and not leave them unattended. Brett says also means you're going to want to add some jaw jackers, so that's one type of automatic hook setting device, or clam predator tip-ups to your ice arsenal before they're sold out statewide. So yeah, so the predator tip-ups is where I'm going to, the direction I'm going to be going. And so Brett talks about that. Folks have been raving about the newish clam predator tip-up the last couple seasons. It's designed to be used as both either an automatic hook setting device or as a traditional tip-up flag system. So best of both worlds. Cool looking design that can do it all if you travel to fish in different states, provinces. Even if you're in a state that allows automatic hook setting devices, there are times when using big suckers or dead bait that you actually want the fish to be able to eat it for a bit before setting the hook. This is what it looks like. I've seen this in action, super impressed by it. It folds up easily. On the left there's a rod holder. You bend the rod over, needs to be a fiberglass rod, and you have a setting for either automatic hook setting or for just the tip up. I believe that's right. A couple more quick details. The Predator tip-up has an adjustable sensitivity and power setting, so ice anglers can set how much force they would like, both for bite detection and hook setting power. I'm going to take a swig of water here. Ice spikes on the bottom of tip-up to hold it securely in place, folds down for easy storage, constructed of a heavy-duty nylon material, adjusted so it fits a variety of ice fishing rod lengths and actions. Let's see here. Yes, now we're going to this. And so I actually saw that on Facebook, Jason Mitchell had posted something about this Predator tip-up. And Jason Mitchell's really good at getting back to people on his Facebook page. Like, any questions you have, it's like, whoom! He's Johnny on the spot, man. And so I asked him what he would recommend. Well, we'll get to it here, but there's some good information on this thread on Facebook where he's using this clam predator tip-up. So let me bring the right one up here. Just good information here. So this Mark Valley guy, just a fan of Jason's, was curious how long of a clam glass. So you need to use fiberglass to be able to use this properly for hook setting. So you need a fiberglass rod. I'm curious how long clam glass rods do you use that automatic hook setup? I found 2 of those still in a package I forgot about, and I would like to try them. So this is what Jason responded. A 34 to 42 inch rod. I use medium-sized minnows. If I'm using bigger sucker minnows or 5 inches long, I use a tip up when the fish can take line. So anyway, the important part of that is a 34 to 42 inch rod. It needs to be a fiberglass rod. All right. And then I asked him, he recommended the Predator, clam Predator rods. It's actually designed for this tip up. So they're fiberglass rods. So I'm going to go with these. For these channel cats are gotten a lot bigger in the horseshoe channel lakes. And so I'm going to go with a medium heavy 42 inch, I believe is the length. A medium heavy 42 inch Predator rod is what I'm going to be using for these catfish. So I've used medium rods in the past for the catfish on the horseshoe chain lakes, but they're getting so much bigger in there that you're going to need a beefier rod, I think. Anyway, so then I asked him, like, what kind of reel would you recommend for this whole setup? And so he recommended, so he got back to me like immediately. Jason was like, anyway, the guy is busy enough and he's like answering questions in like zero time. Jason says he recommends the Predator reel, clam Predator reel. He says they're great for the money. And so that's the route I'm going to be going. And I like it. I like simplicity, right? So I'm going to go with the Predator rod and the Predator, for the Predator tip up, I'm going to go with the Predator rod and the Predator reel. Let's make this easy. You don't need to go crazy. But then I also asked him about line. Like, what kind of line would you recommend for doing this? And Jason says 10-pound Power Pro for the hook set device for catfish and lake trout. So 10-pound Power Pro, which is a braid for the hook set devices for catfish and lake trout. 6 or 8-pound Frost Mono for inland trout and shallow trout and walleyes. So great information there. I'm super excited that now in Minnesota we can use automatic hook setting devices. And this is a big thing, especially for, just for catfish. I think it's just going to be perfect for these catfish on the horseshoe chain lakes. So I'm super excited that now I can use a automatic hook setting device. I don't need to worry about a catfish getting deep hooked. Better for the fishery. So thank you, Minnesota. Thank you so much. You've just been wonderful to me. All right, here we go. Let's see here. We are nearly wrapped up here, but a few items we gotta take care of here. All right, so some angling uploaded news. I talked with my partner in crime, Pete Wagner. Pete is my lifelong best buddy, and you couldn't ask for a better fishing buddy. And we started this journey of putting stuff on the internet long ago now. We started another fishing show. If you guys are real diehards, you've been with us this whole process all through the years here. We started, really, what we started doing internet-wise was a show called Another Fishing Show, which was it's basically a show. I wanted to kind of just, in some ways, I was paying homage to our friendship, Pete and my friendship. Mine. I honestly, I really need to go back to school because I can't remember how to speak properly anymore. But we've been friends for so long, and we've got each other into fishing. I wanted to make a show that really was kind of like just a buddy. Almost like if you sort of like combine like a buddy comedy and a fishing show together. And so that's what Another Fishing Show is. That's what I wanted it to be. So we did 7 episodes of Another Fishing Show through the years. I want to bring it back, and I want it to be a quarterly thing that we're putting up on the Angling Uploaded platform, okay? So I talked with Pete a little bit about my plan, and I think the first thing we're going to do Another Fishing Show. We're bringing it back, and the first episode is going to be going after channel catfish on the horseshoe chain. And what's so funny about that whole system, right, is that it's a hell of a fishery, and it's pretty unique. Not a lot of places where you can catch big channel catfish through the ice. But all the locals can't stand them. They consider them an invasive species. So I think it'd be fun to make fun of that. I think it'd be fun to talk to some locals, get their perspective on things, maybe fish with some, maybe try to convince them that they should be doing this more. But I want that to be the first Another Fishing Show episode coming back to life. So we're going to be doing that this month, January. We're going to be filming the next the next episode of Another Fishing Show. So I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to use those clam predator tip-ups for that. So that's big news. Also, some big news is that this Friday, January 9th at 5 p.m., well, we got a new video coming out of me just absolutely waylaying some smallmouth. We're going to call it something. I don't really even know the name of this thing yet, but we're going to call it like power switch smallmouth or something. And oh my gosh, I recently went to the beloved Mississippi River near me. And thanks to the beauty of nuclear power, there's a warm water discharge there where I fish, where it's open all year long. And so I could fish throughout the winter. I went out there and I used this Berkley power switch. Let's make sure we get this displayed properly here. This Berkley power bait power switch. And I've fished this bait a little bit before. When this bait came out, I was like in love with it, even before I ever fished it. And I'm like, this thing is going to work for a lot of different species. And I finally was able to give this thing dedicate enough time with this bait to really allow this thing to shine. And boy, did it shine. I absolutely caught the fire of some winter smallmouth bass on the Mississippi recently. Made a video of it using the Power Bait Power Switch HD Black Nose Shiner 3-inch, 3/8 of an ounce. This bait is unbelievable, y'all. They were eating the hell out of it. And so that's going to be this Friday, January 9th at 5 p.m. And I think you're going to love this, okay? God, I fished it in a way that I wasn't. Anyway, let me show you this tease, okay? And we'll come back, talk a little bit more about it, and then we're going to wrap this thing up.
Coming up on Angling Uploaded. There's a big fish right there. Power switch in effect, y'all. I'm really liking this bait, and I'm fishing it a way that I wasn't expecting to fish it. Golly, is that awesome. Gorgeous smallmouth. Come in here. Oh, wow, what a fish. Look at that. Time to get loaded.
Yes. Super exciting. That's going to be this coming Friday. Check it out, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're going to want to watch it. Just this bait, lots of different ways to fish it. Okay, lots of different ways to fish it. I was fishing it in a unique way. And I don't know if it's unique. I don't know if they let's put it this way. I don't know if I was probably fishing it not as the designers intended necessarily. Berkley's got another bait that I think is designed more in a way that like the way I was fishing the power switch. But anyway, you're going to need to check it out. It's really a fun video. And oh my gosh, I love it when a plan comes together. So that's going to be it, guys. We are into the future, 2026. Happy New Year. If you want, how do you find us? Okay, if you're watching Angling Uploaded, or let's say you're listening to the podcast and you want to watch Angling Uploaded, what we're doing on Angling Uploaded, you want to watch that video I just promoted, you can do so by going to YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, or Instagram. We do some stuff on Instagram too. Sort of more behind the scenes sort of stuff on Instagram, maybe more. So yeah, just search Angling Uploaded on those platforms. You'll find it. And if you want to just listen to another fishing podcast, okay, you're watching this podcast, you want to just listen to the podcast, what you can do is you can just go to any podcasting app. We're on all of them. It's amazing. We're on all the podcasting apps. So just search your favorite podcasting app, search Another Fishing Podcast, and there you go. So thanks, guys. We will be doing this next week. We're going to be doing it the next week after that, and the next week after that, and the next week after that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. However you're consuming this wonderful content, I appreciate it very much. Have a fantastic rest of your day.